Dun, 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 dun.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller and drama, and arts. For 5 years and with over 280 weekly episodes and 64 million plus downloads, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals. It is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or gender. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. We are all busy, but I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and vote now. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all 3 of the categories: education, storyteller drama, or art. News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montado brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the News on the Flip Side in the category of news and politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montado.
Oh, well, Christopher, how did that get in there? That has no business being there. See, you rookies, that's why I don't let y'all stack the archives. Yes. Anyway, welcome to the Author's Quill, everyone. I hope y'all having a good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. It's one of the real reasons I got on the radio is because in today's world, when you're doing podcasts and or internet radio, it's a worldwide audience. It's just, you're not just stuck to Louisiana. We have a lot of friends in Canada. We have a lot of friends in Mexico. We have a lot of friends all over the planet. Matter of fact, some of our podcast sites are really just overseas podcasts. SoundCloud is more of a European, kind of Scandinavian type thing. That's where most of those listeners come from. And they're doing 2 to 5 million people a week over there. And then we have a bunch scattered across the US. But regardless, we're on 200 different archive sites and over 200 live sites worldwide. Listen to us. Depending on what show you are, like this one goes out to about 121 countries. News on the Flip Side goes out to about 160. I think, if I'm correct, UFO Undercover goes out to everyone, including North Korea. They even have 16 listeners in North Korea. I know. That's a lot of listen. I got to thinking about this, though, last night, because one of the news articles we carried last night was just recently North Korea executed somebody for K-pop, for listening to K-pop. And then yesterday, or was the day before yesterday, they executed 2 teenagers for listening to South Korea drama. I'm thinking, guys, don't risk getting executed to hear our show, man. I'm just saying. I don't want to hear nobody get killed for listening to one of our shows. Hopefully it's somebody up the chain and they don't have to worry about it. But it is interesting. It started out with one listener a couple of years ago. And it's growing. No, not this one. I don't think they're listening to authors in North Korea. I'm not even sure if half the people in North Korea know what an author is, to be honest with you. Yes. But anyway, guys and girls, I hope y'all all having a good day out there. We have, stop being rude and just texting me away when I'm getting ready to say something. You know what? Hold on. Let's just move this over here so my ADD DH self won't be distracted. We have Alex Shvartsman with us this evening and this afternoon. We're going to be talking about his book that he's got out. And I hear he's an interesting character. I know some of his friends, and they were telling me about him just recently. And so it sounds like it's going to be a fun interview. It's whoever posted that. No, we do a lot of the Writers of the Future interview, but that's not what this is. No, this is a different type interview. So, Alex, how are you today, man? I know you're looking a little warm there, so everything gets you. Turn the air conditioner down, man.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hot over here, but then you're in Louisiana, so I guess I
Oh,
can't
Jesus.
complain.
Yeah. Well, right now, today, I'm actually on the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Okay, is that better weather-wise?
Not really.
Oh, well,
I'm literally,
uh,
the bayou is actually 18 feet from my back door, and the Gulf of Mexico is about 105 yards from my back door. So it's just say muggy. We'll leave it at that. If you don't like muggy weather, don't come down here. Not this time of year, people. I always love my friends from up north who come down in the middle of summer and think, oh, it's going to be great. And they get down here and they're like, oh my God, I went to hell. People coming down here is great if you come in spring, fall, even winter, because a lot of times in the winter it's 65 degrees outside, but not in the summertime. You have to be a local to deal with the summer. So many of my friends from up north or even from up west and Midwest come out here and they get sick 2 days after they're here because you go outside, it's 90 degrees or 98 degrees and 98% humidity. You walk inside, it's like 68 degrees, cold wind blowing, and this is all day. You're doing this all day long, so it takes a little getting used to. So, Alex, man, so how are you? I mean, you looking okay? I mean, I hear other things, but you're looking okay. So, I'm gonna ask you a basic question before I even get you to tell the audience about yourself. What is it that made you decide you could write? I always ask this because I'm curious, because you know what? I have never got the same answer in this, and I've interviewed probably over 1,000 authors now. So it's interesting. So what was it? I mean, it's actually a two-part question. When was it and what was it?
Okay, so my story is that I was born in Ukraine and my first language was Russian. So
Okay.
from a young age, I was a voracious reader of science fiction and fantasy in translation because I didn't speak any English. And I already kind of was the kind of kid that would entertain the idea of possibly writing stories and writing books. But when we came to the United States, I gave up on those ideas because I never thought that my English would be good enough. And so I waited for a really long time without trying until finally, I overcame that fear of failure.
Mm.
And I was well into my 30s already when I first started trying to write fiction in English. And to my surprise, I sold the first story and sold the second story, and then just kept going. So but I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to tell stories to entertain. And I think that's probably the more standard part of the answer that you get from everybody, because we all, people who don't want to connect that way with the readers probably would not give themselves homework for the rest of their lives.
Yes, most of the authors, and most of the authors I meet, or when they really, when they really start to really become a real author, they're usually in their mid 30s. Some are a little older, but some are in their mid 30s. Now I've met them younger, and I've met them way older, but one of the gentlemen I met 2 years ago, he was 69 when he won Writers of the Future, and he had just started writing the year before. And now he's got professional status. But for the average, I would say it was somewhere 34, 35 years old. And for different reasons, some of them just, one of the guys said he got stuck. He told me, he said, Joe, I used to read these books to my daughters at night. And he said, these tales are horrible, man. Have you ever sat down and read some of these fairy tales? I said, dude, I used to read them all when I was a kid. He said, Joe, they're horrible. He said, when you actually stop and think what you're saying, I mean, they're horrible, man. I was like, what do you mean they're horrible? So he sat there in the show and went through 30. I'm telling you how disgustingly hard. So he decided he wanted to write children's books. And one of his children's books he wrote turned out to be a sci-fi book that actually was turned into a movie. That had nothing to do with children, by the way. It was a little higher than a children's book, but he said his imagination just got away with him and he just started writing. But he said that's what inspired him was his kids. And he said, now I give my kids to read, and if my kids say they hate it, I know it's going to be successful. I was like, well, that's a way about going through and writing it. So, but I mean, what genres do you like to write in?
So I primarily write science fiction and fantasy. I've done a little bit of horror, a little bit of literary, but really those are, that's kind of my sweet spot. All of my novels that have been published to date have been fantasy, but the majority of my short stories that have been published have been science fiction. So I'm kind of, and the most recent novel that I finished is science fiction. So I'm finally, as long as it finds a home, I'm going to break that streak.
Well, hey, look, there's a lot of big sci-fi fans out there. There's a lot of fantasy fans out there. I notice with some of the award ceremonies I attend during these, I go to like 3 a year, including the big one, which is Writers of the Future. But sci-fi don't seem to win as much as fantasy and a few of the other genres do. I don't know why, because well, no, Greg, I'm a sci-fi freak. Okay, technically, I'm a nerd, geek, whatever you want to call me. Kind of a little bit of both. That's how I grew up. People just don't realize that when they see me, because I'm a big, ugly, scary guy. Really and truly, I am. But I am more of what they would call a near now sci-fi fantasy guy. I prefer things closer, like Babylon 5 or Expanse or Altered Carbon, things like that that are not necessarily way in the future, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, because you can kind of see our progression. So when somebody nails it right, including the politics, it's an interesting dynamic. And plus, I don't care how disgustingly bad it's gonna be, how many things you're gonna blow up and kill. There better be some humor in there. No good sci-fi doesn't have humor, man. It's got to be some kind of crack somewhere, and it just has to be. And that could be just simply me. But what do you think?
Well, that's what I actually specialize in writing. Almost everything that I write is humor.
See, that's good.
Yeah, so I have a humorous urban fantasy series called The Conradverse, which has 2 books in it. And the 3rd book I'm working on now, so it'll be out probably next year. I have lots of short stories, and I've edited something like over a dozen humorous anthologies. So I really kind of carved out a corner for myself of specializing in humorous science fiction and fantasy.
Well,
and
that's good.
And I do agree with you that fantasy stories tend to win more, tend to have more readers. But I will say that at the short fiction form, I think that science fiction stories generally can be stronger than fantasy stories. Of course, this is a very, very general assertion.
Yeah.
But it's easier to almost all fantasy stories are kind of easier to predict the plot. They're less likely to surprise you in the end. Not all, but a lot of the short fiction. So I think fantasy lends itself better to long form. And
I do too.
Science fiction tends to lend itself better to the short form because it's more of a genre of ideas.
Yeah, because sci-fi you can get quick, fast, and dirty, and still have a good story. Fantasy tends to, it takes more time to set it up. I guess is what it really is. It's what's that, Martha? No, I mean there's lots of genres inside of sci-fi. I mean we're just generalizing right now. I mean when you say sci-fi, is like a whole list of genres in sci-fi itself. Same thing with fantasy, and then there's other genres on the sides. It's steampunk and other stuff like that. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. It's just what do you like personally? And when I got into radio almost 3 decades ago, I knew jack about writing. I mean nothing. I mean I've been trying to write a book for 25 years, 30 years, and finally in the last 5 years, I have learned more about authors than half the authors know about themselves. It's just I've been lucky because I've got to hang out with all the judges at all the courses for writers of the future and for the Pinocchio Award. So, and you just catch on by listening to them, because I'm listening to them while because I want to interview the people after the classes. So I'm listening to the classes, and I have learned a lot. I have to say, it's an interesting way to learn. What do you mean? I will never be an author, Jack. Sorry, no. At the best I'll ever be able to do is maybe put out a story or 2 based on the research for the other organization I work for. Yes. And that'll be it. My brain doesn't work like that. I can't, my problem's always been, and I don't know how some of you authors deal with this, but my problem's always been, my brain is faster than my fingers by 3 or 4 paragraphs. So what happens is I'll be, and then I go back and read this. It turns out to be like jibber jabber. So I don't know how y'all do it. I really don't, because I know you have to be a pretty fair typist to really get a story down while it's working out through your head. And can you slow that down in real time, or you're just really a good typist?
It sure helps. You don't have to type at all. There's certain writers like Kevin J. Anderson and Marty Shoemaker who dictate their stories. So they literally they'll be driving or walking, and they'll have a little recording device or just their phone, and they will narrate into the phone and then work with the convert that to text and So but yes, it helps if you type fast. I think the problem you're describing is not much of a problem, to be honest with you. I think that's actually a feature rather than a bug, because writing fast is a blessing. I'm a slow writer. I have the opposite problem where getting something on paper, I really need to focus on the sentence by sentence level stuff, just right. But then what I've been learning from book to book, and as I've been doing this longer, is that I give myself permission to suck in the first draft because nobody but me will see that first draft. So it doesn't matter how many mistakes I make, how many times I contradict myself, I change my mind halfway through the book about a character and I start writing them in a different way. All of that gets fixed in the second draft, and you will never see it. You will never see those, kind of like embarrassing pit stains, right? So, so it's okay to just write word soup onto the page as long as you're looking at it later and you think some of that is salvageable and it'll help you convert it into like a real story.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I remember when Wesley Dean Smith told me, he said, that's what he told me. Just pick up a mic and go. He said, you like to talk, Joe. He said, so it should be easy for you. I was like, But I get stuff down sometimes, but it never feels coherent enough to me. It's just it's probably my own shortcomings, but still, it's just one of those things. But I enjoy learning. I will tell you that, and it is fun. I mean, when I'm usually out in LA, I can bang out 10 to 12,000 words. I'm out there for about 10 days, so I usually can bang it out. Because what happens is after we wrap up with the interviews and I post all the archives, I'll be wired. I can't go to sleep because it's usually 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'll sit up for 2 hours and just bang away on the laptop and see what I come out with. And sometimes it's decent, but there's one thing I was trying to write out. It was an experience my wife and I had in Gulf Breeze, Florida, over a 12-day period. And it's for some reason, even though I remember everything clearly, it still just doesn't seem to want to come out the way I want it to. Yeah, I don't know. I'm learning. I'm at least I'm always jealous of a good writer because I got friends like Nick Redfern. He bangs out a book a week like it's nothing. Just I'm like, what are you doing? He's a 9-to-5 writer. That's how he writes. He gets up Monday through Friday and writes 9 to 5. I'm like, how the hell you do that? I said, yeah, because he usually writes all kind of stuff. He fantasy, sci-fi, but all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, how the hell you do that? He's got, I think, 114 books now. And most of them are pretty good. I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. I wish I could do that. I really could. I'd even be happy with, 200 pages or something. But I was up to, before I went through it and started cutting it down, I was up to 64,000. And I'm not even nowhere near an author. What is that, a novelette or something? What do they call that?
4,000 is a short novel. So yeah. You're there. Like
novella, is that what they call it?
A typical novel that's not too thick that you pick up in the bookstore is probably going to be 80 to 100,000 words, unless you're talking about like a George Martin, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah. 6-week long thing. Yes. What's that, Christopher? And that's Kevin J. Anderson. He worked with Frank Herbert's son on Dune, on this both the 1 and 2 parts. Yes. Well, no, he wasn't. Kevin wasn't a writer in part 2. He was something else. I remember seeing him in the credits, but he wasn't a writer. He wasn't. He was something else he did there.
He was most likely got a producer credit. Most likely.
Most likely. And no, I know Kevin pretty good. I talked to him for 10 days every for the last 5 years. I've celebrated his birthday with him and stuff. It's he's a nice guy. Matter of fact, all the judges are nice people. I'm not going to lie. If you win, people, Writers of the Future is a great thing. It's a great week out in someone's life. I mean, they spoil you while you're there. They work the hell out of you while you're there. You get to learn all kind of freebie stuff that you'd literally have to spend a lot of money in college to learn most of what you're going to learn there. And then some people are just natural authors. Is that what you were? I mean, you just kind of slowly took to it. You felt comfortable. And I heard when you were talking about when you were a kid and then when you got older. I mean, now is it kind of just like a comfortable glove when you're writing, or?
Well, for the most part, it's not. It varies from story to story, from book to book. Every once in a while, I'll have an idea where I bite off more than I can chew, because it's a really, really difficult idea to conceptualize and to put on paper, and that's when I get in trouble, right? So, like, I mean, there's no matter how long you've been doing this, at some point you're still going to get write yourself into the corner or have some trouble getting through certain chapters or certain parts of it. But overall, I got into a pretty comfortable routine where I am trying to write and translate almost every day. So that I kind of like don't. It's kind of like exercising, right? If you exercise every day, you fall into that routine and you actually want it, right? So writing is like that too. If you don't get lax and just say, oh yeah, no, this is a really busy week, I'm going to skip a week or I'm going to skip 2 weeks and I'll get back to it. at some point you look around and a year has passed and your manuscript just is still sitting there, collecting dust in your computer folder. So I think a lot of it is achieved with discipline, and of course, so there's two parts of it, right? There's talent and there's craft. You cannot really learn talent. You can hone your talent if you have it, but you can't really learn talent. But you can absolutely learn craft. And no matter how much talent you have, without the craft, you're not going to write good stories. Right? You need the craft part as well.
Yeah.
The tools in your toolbox, and going to workshops like Writers of the Future, like Viable Paradise, like Clarion, any of these workshops, really can accelerate one's career if they have the time and the financial ability to do it, because it's a commitment to go away, like leave your day job for a week or whatever. And with Clarion, I think it's 6 weeks actually. So if you're an adult with a full-time job, you're not going to Clarion.
No, I mean that is some of the problem. Well, like one of our hosts on the network, Sean, he's actually a winner of Writers Future. Sean Patrick Hasler, he does anthologies and sci-fi and stuff like that, and that's one of his problems. He's talented, and people want him to come out and go to places and go do book signings and go to classes, but the problem is he's got a wife and kids. So he's still got a life, and he's a young guy. He's in his 40s. He's so it's not just stop until you make that book that takes you to that level where you can give up your day job. It's like anything else. You're just kind of hung in between. So it's like when I do right now, I own a construction company that pays for almost everything else we do. So if the station falls short for any reason, the company picks it up. Mm-hmm. But this station won't be ready for me to retire on it probably for another, to retire comfortably, probably another 3 years, maybe 4. And then, I can give the other business to my son and just say, okay, well, I'm gonna live off of this. But it's just getting it. Well, it is, guys. It's just getting it. You gotta get that one. So in other words, if I could do this full time all the time, I could retire on it probably this year. But I still got to have all my bills paid. So that's not how it works. And unfortunately, I got a lot of big bills, so you got to pay those things. It's tough. I mean, it's tough in any. No, Jeffrey, it doesn't not just have to be an author. It could be an illustrator. It could be any artist for that reason. I mean, that's where they coined the term "starving artist," because you get stuck. So you've got to keep one balance in order to keep the other balance. And some people are better at it than others. Let's just be honest about it. They just are. What's it? Denise wants to know if what is your favorite book? Wait. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I'm reading the question again. I apologize. So she corrected me before you even got finished saying anything. She wants to know, what is your favorite book that you've personally written? And what is your favorite book that you read? Now, you should know better than to ask an author what his favorite book is. That's an impossible question.
It is a really, really tough question. So I will rephrase it a little bit because, I have to kind of wiggle out somehow. Mm-hmm. So if you ask me which of my books I want you to start with, then the answer to that is, do you like novels or do you like short stories? If you like novels, I would recommend that you start with The Middling Affliction, which is the first in series. And it's kind of like the Dresden Files, but funny. I know I can punch up. I mean, I'm sure Jim will be okay. But it's this Men in Black type, Dresden Files type story, and it's set in my home borough of Brooklyn, where where these people with powers are protecting the rest of society, the regular Muggles essentially, from monsters, magic users, any kind of malevolent forces, and you get into all sorts of trouble. And this is a humor book. This is not it. So again, think Men in Black rather than something that takes itself overly seriously and probably sucks. As far as short story collections, my first short story collection is called Explaining Cthulhu to Grandma, and it's a book that contains something like 30 or 40 short stories. So it's like a hefty collection, and it has some of the best stories that I've written, including the title story, which won the WSFA Award and has been translated into many languages, turned into a play, and like all sorts of good things happen because of it. So those are my two favorites as far as my own work. As far as other people's work, again, like that's I think it's an even tougher question because I've only written a few books, but I've read so many.
Yeah, that's a hard part.
Probably my overall favorite is The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, which is I consider it to be the greatest novel of the 20th century. So this is a book that invented magical realism decades before 100 Years of Solitude, and kind of is just an amazing book. There are many English translations if anybody is interested. Of course, I read it.
I have to check it out. Well, I've read, growing up the way I did, we were required to read all the class, not just read them. We had to do reports on them. That went on for 5 years. I didn't even know there was that many classics. Let me be honest with you.
Well, this one, it's not like a boring classic like you read in high school sometimes. This is the story of the devil coming to the 1920s Moscow and causing trouble.
So that's fun. Well, we got to read fun stories, and fortunately for us, one of the teachers that did them was a hippie. It was a private school, so I guess they were hippie. She's a really intelligent woman, but still, she was a hippie. So she had what she wanted us to read, and then our English lit teacher had what he wanted, and he always wanted to read stuff like Where the Red Flaring Glows, Old Yeller, just outright classic, boring books. Half of them are crybaby books, and it's not. I mean that in a bad way. Whoever sent that, I mean they're just that kind of book. They end with something dying or someone dying. I get tired of reading books like that. There's enough death in the world. I don't need to see it on paper. It's but we did get to read a lot of fun stuff as well. And then if you want to get real crazy, I don't know if you can see him back there, but that's all the great philosophers back there, and with all of their great stories. Oh yes, guys, that's for reading there. That's not for playtime reading. That's for.
And I see that you have a David Hankins book there as well.
Yes, David Hankins. Oh, by the way, I was going to tell you that. So what we do is, and we offer this to every guest that comes on the network. So when they send us a book, that's an autographed copy. That's why it's up there, because I gave away 2 of them that others he sent me. And so it sits up there, and that right below it is one of Wolf Moon's A Howling Good Story book. And of course, there's a few writers of the future, and this is who's this one? This is Gary Haslam, Non-Human. So we do it. We just feature anybody who sends us stuff because if you've been on our show, we consider that a right to have it up there, and it's easier to sell a book when people can see a book.
Oh, for sure.
Because I've learned something.
Behind me, my bookshelf is I have my own book space out, so people can.
Oh, you would have been so jealous in the old days when I first started doing radio. We had a Linden library in the house with over almost 5,000 books, and it covered 3 walls. And a beautiful, everything you could possibly think of, from sci-fi to fantasy to actually nonfiction, fiction. I mean, anything. It was just great. Almost every one of them was signed or numbered, or old books that were signed to somebody else that we got our hands on. We got a witchcraft book. It was only about this thick. As a red weirdly was. I don't even know what it was bound with. It might have been leather. I'm not sure.
Probably human skin.
It might have been. Well, it was from 1511. People would come online and say, "How much do you want for it?" I will buy that thing tomorrow. And we ended up some, because what happened was Hurricane Katrina came along, and luckily my house didn't actually flood. It got about 3 inches of water in the house, but it was so moist. It took us 4 days to get home. It was so moist in the house from the humidity that the books swole, all of them.
Oh.
So when they did, they blew the shelves apart. So the little bit of water that was on the floor, that's where all the books went. So we managed to save about 500 of them. And since then, other guests and friends of ours have been sending us other stuff. I think it's probably back up to about 1,100 books now. But it's it was just a shame, because there was some really good stuff in there. I mean, there was some really good things in there. And I had some originals that were just, one of a kind that really bit. What's that about Frank Frazetta? Is that what you're talking about? One of his. Well, you can't see it. There's a picture of his behind me, signed and numbered. It's one of the ones from Battlefield Earth. Yeah, it's back there somewhere. No, all you can see right now is Bob the alien. Yes, Bob is watching you people. Okay, he's got his eyes on you. You see how big them freaking eyes are? Mm-hmm. So Alex, we give away stuff sometimes, and we'll ask, because we're on TV, so we're on Roku television and Fire Stick television. I tell people all the time, if you can tell me what's in its eye, I'll give you a book. Because you can't really see it if you're on YouTube or stuff like that. You can zoom in, you really can't see it, but each eye has something in it. Huh. And a friend of mine's like, "No, there's not. There's nothing in there." I said, "Yeah, there's something in there." I said, "All you got to do is, yes, if you got a big screen TV, zoom in on your big screen, you'll be able to see it. So you'll know right off the bat when somebody calls in or writes in it that they've been watching television, because that's the only way you're going to see it. You're not seeing it off of your little TV on your screen, but this one's got a BB in it, sitting right there, a little silver BB. And the other one's actually got money. It's just change, but I'll leave it in there. And then I switch them around sometimes, because people think they're going to be smart because they've heard me talk about it on the radio and say, "Oh, that's a silver BB." I said, "No, I took it out. It's something else." That's wrong on my part. But yeah, if you get a chance, send us one. We'll put it back there. It'll go. It'll sit back there somewhere, right there, right over here, right over there, or
Yeah,
by the
I'll
other desk.
just send me your address and
Yeah,
I'll
when we get done, I'll put it over here.
After the weekend.
Yeah, I'll send it to you when I get back in the email in a little while. It's what's that, Harper? What do you got? What do you mean he sounds Canadian? He just told you where he was from. He didn't sound Canadian to me.
I never got Canadian before, so that's cool. That adds to the list. I've had all sorts of really wild guesses as to where I'm from, including Caribbean islands somehow. I don't feel it at all. But no, this is a mix of a Russian accent with a Brooklyn accent because I've been here now for like 30 plus years.
See, that's what the problem is, Harper. You know, in Brooklyn, people talk funny. They like us coon asses. We talk funny too. Oh no, you want to hear a conversation, you get somebody from out west, somebody from up north, somebody down south, and put them in the same room. They don't even sound like they're having the same conversation. It's just bad, man. And then we use the same words with different pronunciations. So, well, what's that? There's nothing against Canada. You better leave Canada alone. My station manager's from Canada. She lives in Niagara Falls up there. Do not piss the witch off. No, I didn't say bitch. I said witch. Yeah, she's a registered witch. She's like the Elvira of Canada. Do not make this. And she's been on every TV show that's possible. Do not aggravate her. Okay. When some demons crawling up, you know what? I don't want to hear about it. No, I warned you ahead of time. Favorite TV series? Actually, Glenda is writing in from Cardiff. Hey, you're over there in England. What's up, sweetie? No. I only know Cardiff because of Doctor Who. I'm not even going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you. That's the only reason I even know the hell. Actually, it's not even Doctor Who. It's the other one with Jack Harkness. I can't think of the damn name of it now, though. Yes, that's the only reason I know Cardiff. So what do you got for us? Best sci-fi TV series? I don't know. Wait,
I have a
strong
hard. I have a strong opinion on that.
Go speak it out.
For my money, it's Babylon 5.
Ooh,
it's the.
Ooh, I can't argue with that, man.
It's the first series that was conceived as a complete series, like from the beginning to end. Yes, Straczynski had to change things up because of different like networks screwing with him. But ultimately, he gave us some of the best like television. And Deep Space Nine is really good, but that's mostly because they literally ripped off Babylon 5. So they ended up with a good show as well. It's the best track as far as I'm concerned.
It's
Babylon 5 for sure.
So if you haven't seen Babylon still holds up even good. It's a mid-90s, I believe, series. Yeah. It holds up well even today. The special effects hold up pretty good there. Babylon's good for a couple of reasons. One, it takes today's Earth politics and drops it in the freaking middle of a galaxy along with a bunch of other alien races that are pretty much as screwed up as we are. So it makes it a lot of fun. And there's a lot of plotting going on. There's a lot of subplots going on. They have characters that start out completely just evil as shit and turn out entirely different. No, it's got a lot of good things. And they were very brave because they started out with one captain and ended with another one. Technically, there was 3 captains. Yeah. So no, it was 3 because of the woman. She was where was she from? Highland is the first time I ever seen her. Yeah, she was Duncan MacLeod's girlfriend. Not Connor Duncan, yes, from the TV series. But yeah, she ended up being the 3rd captain on Babylon 5. But it's a good series. It ends well. Nobody wanted it to end the way it did, but it was probably a fitting end for the way it was. Technically, there's 2 endings of Babylon 5. There's the end of season 4, which is actually an ending of Babylon 5. And then they got their last season, which is what they wanted. And they got to end it the way they wanted to. But it was good, the whole series. It started out one way, ended up another way. There's lots of twists and turns. There's lots of good political moves, and there's lots of good characters in there. What you mean, Stephanie? It's hard for me to pick the character I like the most. It probably would be Jakar, would be, and Londa would be way up at the top. No, I like both the captains, but no, both captains did a good job. It's not that Londo and Jakar were bigger than life on the screen. The Limb was good.
Rare when they can do that with characters that are non-human. Usually, it's the humans that kind of get most of the spotlight, with
Yeah.
few exceptions like Spock. But like most of the writers tend to like give the human characters all the best lines and kind of like all the glory. Straczynski did not do that.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he also did not write the. This is my pet peeve when people write science fiction. Is that a lot of the time the aliens are this homogenous thing. Like they have no internal politics. They're just like, they're all of the same mind. They're all kind of like agree with each other. He did not do that. Like there's a lot of politics and a lot of disagreements. And like you said, actually you said that everybody's screwed up. All the other alien races are screwed up in the same way as the humans.
It is, and it makes for good. We got to remember too, guys. Some of these races are far more advanced than Earth is, and they are just as screwed up as we are. What do you mean the Minbar? No, the Minbar were screwed up too. They had their own issues. They had different kind of issues, but they had their own issues. What do you mean? You talking about the Shadows and the Vorlon? No, they were more screwed up. What are you talking about? They had to go cry in the Lorient at the end of the thing to go leave, man. It was screwed up pretty good. No, it was really good because it took you in places you didn't think it would go. It introduced characters in a way that was much different than I had seen in sci-fi before. I enjoyed it immensely. What do you mean? What is the closest thing to it today? I don't know. Maybe Expanse.
Probably. I mean, it's not a great comparison, but I don't think there is one. But you're like, Expanse is fantastic.
It is. Ginger. No, it's not the same. It's just I'm trying to find something that you could. I mean, because Expanse kind of plays on the politics, but there's no real aliens involved other than the blue shit.
Right. Now you did mention that you like the near future stuff and like alternate history, all that stuff. So one that you might consider checking out also is For All Mankind on Apple. And I don't
think I've seen that.
It begins in the 1960s, and at the very beginning of opening scene, it's the Russians that land on the moon first. And so because of that, the space race is completely changed. Like instead of Americans just kind of like landing on the moon and then nobody goes back there, it's spurs the space race where they're developing, and you see them go to the moon, go to Mars, do all these like really cool things. And it's very hard SF, like modern politics. And it's a parallel timeline to ours. So you can see like the United States and the Soviet Union evolving and changing, and how like these changes are affecting it. So it's a really good show.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out because I like that kind of stuff. What's that, Carrie? Altered Carbon was okay. First off, since y'all brought it up, don't watch Altered Carbon if nudity offends you. Okay, look, I almost didn't watch Expanse because I have a rule: if it's TNA in the first 2 minutes, I usually won't watch it because it's usually going to be crappy. Well, there is a little bit of that in Expanse, but in Altered Carbon, there is a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good sci-fi show. It's got some good twists in it. It's a lot of fun to watch, but it's number one. It's not for kids. Really, it's not even for some adults. I'll be honest with you. It's different. It's near now sci-fi, but to what reality, I guess it's hard to say. I don't doubt. I know for a fact that we've been working on a way to upload consciousness into a host body. Boeing was the first one to introduce this. They have a science division back in 2021. Back in 2001, they were talking about this. And so they think there is a way to empty out the brain and upload it into a new brain. So there was an experiment done in 1998 that made this a reality. A guy had a chip put in his head, and the whole idea was to try to record memories from his brain onto the chip. Well, it worked. He was able to record memories from his brain onto the chip. As far as I know, that was the only experiment like it ever. And then Boeing came out along with some other company, and then Masters and Johnson came out and said, well, we could probably grow bodies pretty easy. And especially if we could just go from one hard drive to the other hard drive, then, life would be endless. You could live as long as you just transfer from your consciousness from one to the other. Well, there's a lot of ifs in that. Okay, guys. First, if you're religious and you believe in the soul, well, does your soul go with the consciousness or just your consciousness going to soul? It gets a little confusing. And then there's other issues besides that. I don't know, guys. it does sound like a technology we'll probably develop. It just seems like it's one of those ones in the next 100 or 500 years we'll probably develop, which we already got, 8 billion of us on the planet. Do we even need to extend life any? And oh, wait, before we get back into the regular conversation, let's not forget that J&J came out and said they know how to stop telomeres now. They can stop aging. Better than that, they're pretty sure they can reverse the aging up to 20 to 25 years. They say they're developing a drug that they can give you that will twist the telomeres back and de-age you. I'm thinking, first off, that sounds like bullshit, but we're going to let it slide. Secondly, it has to be unbelievably painful. I mean, what happens if you don't have no teeth and you have to grow all your teeth back? I mean,
you already grow your teeth twice during your life, and it never hurts, other than like a little bit.
Yeah, I guess, man. I guess so. Except when they break the skin. I guess that's true. I don't know, guys. It just sounds. It's no. Johnson knows that they can stop you aging right now. If you got the money, you can go to J&J, and they can stop whatever age you are right now. They can stop your telomeres from. They can just stop them. So you don't have to age anymore. But first off, I don't see any country allowing this public. I mean, think about America. We have 350 million people in the country. If everybody alive today was allowed to live and everybody stopped aging right here, I mean, the number in the country would double so fast. In less than 30 years, we'd be 700 million people. In 100 years, there'd be 2 trillion people. You can't, it's just not going to work, people. We have to. Until Elon gets us off on Mars and gets us into some other planets, we're kind of need not to stop anything. And yes, I did hear that, Bruce. So I had joined a group in Helsinki. God, this was 22 years ago. It's called the Mars group. And they just upped their thing to you'll be able to go to Mars for 70 if you're 75 years and under, because the reduction of gravity will slow the work on your heart, which will allow you to live longer. Yeah, so someone who goes to Mars with 50 will probably see 100 easy, maybe 150. It's different. It's but your body's going to change. It's not, and you're not going to be able to come back to after a certain point, unless there's some type of 1G facility there. You're not going to be able to come back to Earth. Yeah, astronauts have a hard enough. You ever seen an astronaut that's been up there for like 6 months when he gets off? He can't even walk, and they're up there on a treadmill all day doing it. But you can write sci-fi like that. Ask Alex, get him to write some of it. A disaster on the ISS. Let's not wish bad things on the ISS, okay? I remember a friend of mine wanted to write a book about. I still remember this too. He said, I'm going to write a book about a Challenger disaster, and not even 6 months later, the damn thing blew up. I still give him shit about it, even as long as it's been now. He said, I said, man, you wish to them on them poor astronauts. No, but did y'all watch seeing the damn thing blow up in the sky? Just like watching a damn airplane fly into 9/11. Why hasn't anybody done any real good books on that? I guess, is that like a taboo subject or something to write about? I never really thought about it. What do you think?
They had. I mean, they were actually, after 9/11, they were bandying around several different books that actually proposed the idea of running planes into buildings. So I think Robert Landon may have been one of them. I don't remember exactly because I don't read that genre much, but there were definitely some that that posited that possibility.
It's what do you mean, guys? Well, you mean in an alternate reality where they survived and something else went down? There's lots of weird stuff like that going on. What was that? Favorite sci-fi movie? Y'all are just into these favorite movies and stuff. Favorite fantasy, sci-fi? I don't know. What Alex probably knows. See, I'm wishy-washy. There's too much. I have to agree with him on Babylon 5 because I really do think it's probably one of the best sci-fi series ever made. It's what you mean 1999? You've been smoking dope, haven't you? You've been smoking. No, 1999 was, how can I say this politely, campy. There you go. Yeah, campy. 2001 and 2010. Did you ever watch them, Alex? Not everybody's watched those movies.
I mean, I thought they were fine, but my movie graph is just very different from everybody else's. Like a lot of iconic movies that everybody thinks are like the greatest things in sliced bread did nothing for me.
Yeah, well, I can see that.
Blade Runner is one of them,
Oh, Blade Runner. Okay, first Blade Runner I can kind of live with. The second one, I think should just be struck from
Yeah,
movie.
the second one we may as well pretend doesn't exist.
Yes, I mean,
But even the first one, I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't.
that's
I'm
what it
not
was.
sure how it got like the iconic status that it did.
Now, see, that's why it ended up being a cult a cult book more than a real popular book. A cult movie. No, guys, Blade Runner is really kind of cultish. It's kind of like, what am I thinking about? Buck Rogers. No, not Buck Rogers. Oh, shit, he went to Mondo. What the hell's his damn name? He was a football player in the 30s. Oh, man, I don't know. It'll come to.
Are you talking about the Edgar Rice Burroughs, the Mars books?
No. Oh, actually, some of the Mars books I actually liked. Well, some of them I did, some of them didn't. I know some of Ray Bradbury stuff I kind of went back and forth on. No, this was just some goofy sci-fi. I don't know why I can't remember it either. It's one of my goofiest, funniest things to watch. It's just about meteors were hitting a planet, and the doctor, the girl, and the football player went off to another place called Mondo. And what the hell, people? That's going to drive me crazy now.
Yes. I wish that.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's just one of them things. What's that, people? Well, if any of y'all think about it, it's no, it's not. I keep wanting to say Buck Rogers, but it's not Buck Rogers. No, it's no. They had an emperor. I mean, his daughter was hot as hell. It's gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, we're moving on. If I keep thinking about it, it'll drive me crazy. What, Gene? What is your favorite sci-fi movie? A Clockwork Orange? Really? You're weird. It's that's one of the movies that I went and seen. And I was like, okay, did I miss something? 2001 was for like me that too. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was kind of like, did I miss something in this movie? I don't know. You can say 2010 explain 2001. I wouldn't go as far as saying that. I would just say it was just more messy. It
was probably the original Matrix. If I had to pick one, I mean that's pretty up there for me.
Yeah. What's it? Well, because you creeps think we in the Matrix. That's why. Mm-hmm. No, Jamie, I know how y'all are. Y'all think we live in the Matrix. No. No robot wants to keep me. They'd be like, evict him immediately. He's a pain in the ass. He uses up too much energy. Ain't making enough. Well, what is there? 5 matrices now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I don't even know. I mean, like everything up to the first one kind of just got worse and worse. And at a certain point, you can kind of stop paying attention to it.
Yes. No, I enjoyed the first one. I think I watched the second one. I don't see the problem for me. If I don't remember a movie, that means it wasn't that good of a movie. I mean, I might remember the name of it. If I don't remember what it was, it probably wasn't that good of a movie. Yes, Jesse, if you say so. What do you mean favorite political? First off, I don't read political books. Mm-mm. Alex might, but I don't. I stay the hell away from them. I mean, if they're wrapped up in a sci-fi, yeah, but if it's no, I'm not. You mean what made Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton great? No, I'm never going to read that. That's just not going to happen, man. Even though I do a news show, that's not going to happen. Well, because in all fairness, we do more news than we do politics. We're doing politics now because it's an election year. But really, we usually do news, like talk about the different wars, what's going on in Europe. We have a deal with Euronews, so we can use some of their material, some stuff from Reuters. No, we do real news, actually. And we don't do opinion news either. We do news. Yes. And then there'll be a time we'll tell you, well, this is how we feel about these articles, and that's when the opinion comes in. But today, if you're watching cable news, you're not watching news, you're watching opinion news. Yeah, you can't get real news on cable. No. I'm not saying it's all wrong or anything. It's just, it's more of opinion news than anything else. What was that, Jay? Now, Altered Carbon's an interesting thing because they're not uploading your so when they plug this thing into you, it just copies whatever your brain is, and it keeps copying it. And then when you die, they just upload it to the new one. It's one of those things. And that movie's weird because they just switch out bodies. If you don't have money, you end up with some crackhead's body and stuff. It's definitely a weird concept, but it does prove a point I found interesting. If you're allowed to live forever, think about Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all these guys 200 years from now, and the kind of power and wealth they'll have. Is that something you really want to allow? You know, Elon, look, I got a big man crush on Elon, but in all fairness, he reminds me of the guy from Moonraker. For he does, the guy who went in space and was going to nuke the planet with all his disease and kill it. He reminds me of that. I'm always scared he's going to go to Mars and build a big protection shield around Mars, and all these satellites he's got in space going to release a virus and kill all the rest of us. Let me tell you what, if anybody can do it, that son of a bitch can. There's so far there ain't nothing he said he could do that he couldn't do. So I wouldn't put anything past him. And he said he wants to have 20 kids. He's on 12 now. We should write a sci-fi book about Elon. That would be good. Yeah, if I get sued, but still.
He's the protagonist of every 1950s and 1960s science fiction story where you have like this business-minded guy that is a rogue and he solves all the problems that like the stupid governments and corporations can't solve. I mean, it's literally and there's always a flawed guy too, So those characters. Heinlein wrote a bunch of them. Other people did as well.
That's it, Jack. No, Elon it'd be a good story about Elon. I mean, he's an interesting character. He's definitely a character. He's not, you know who he thinks he is, right? People, he thinks he's Tony Stark.
Yep.
That's who he does. No, really, that's who he thinks he is. He's even got a big Iron Man in the middle of his SpaceX warehouse. Oh yeah, he does on the floor. I was like, look at this son of a bitch. And he even kind of acts like Tony Stark sometimes. Like, look, I'm a billionaire. I'm the richest person on the planet. I'm taking you morons back to space by myself. I ain't even no government even helping me. And I'm gonna bring y'all to Mars too. I'm giving you free internet around the world. I even launched a car for space to give y'all something to watch. All
right, let me ask you a question about that. Yeah. Does anybody else think that there's a body in the trunk of that Tesla?
That's a good question. Somebody actually said that 2 days after it was up there. I wonder if he stuffed a body in there and sent that son of a bitch into space.
Because that would be a perfect crime right there,
Yeah, guys, we're not going to retrieve that car until probably 1,000 years from now. Somebody will find it out there in space when we have faster than light speed trains. Is that Tesla's car? I mean, was that Elon's car? Let's stop and check it out, man. They might want to bring it back. Well, they're already talking about when they start colonizing Mars, they're going to build little monuments to all the rovers wherever they stop on the planet. And Vikings, yes, I guess there's going to be debris scattered all space, junk scattered all over the surface of Mars. I don't know. You mean what is my favorite? I don't know. We'll ask Alex too, but I don't know my favorite Mars book or favorite Mars movie. Ooh, man, let me think about that.
Oh, I got one.
What you got?
Red Rising by Piers Brown. So it's the first in series, and it's like this absolutely bonkers sword and laser far future action series, which is amazing. And the first book is Red Rising, and it starts out on Mars with the workers in the mines being like downtrodden and all that stuff. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but it is one of the best action science fiction series that's ongoing.
I'll have to check it out. What's that? What do you mean, Jimmy? You're talking about the Ray Bradbury series, the 3. Now, book wise, they're probably good. Movie wise or TV wise, whatever. They were just a bit. They were just a bit campy. We'll leave it at that. I mean, it's not that they were horrible or anything. They just I don't know. They could have been done better.
You mean the Martian Chronicles?
Martian Chronicles, yeah. No, I don't dislike them, people. It's not what I'm saying. Maybe I caught them later in life when I should have caught them earlier in life or something.
The prose in them is gorgeous. They're just very abstract. A lot of the stories are really abstract, and that's not for everybody.
Yes, it's because first off, it's not like one complete story. It's a story, and then they kind of go into the next book, and then there's a story, and then they kind of. Yeah,
there is no next book. It's just a collection of stories that kind of got into the novel. I don't believe that there was any sort of a sequel. I could be wrong, but
no, I don't know. I just know they just did them as 3. I guess because it was so long of a book, they did it as 3 pieces as movies. But no, you can get them. Just available. Martian Chronicles are out there. You can get them. Yeah. my two probably favorite oldest both movies to watch would be Robinson Crusoe of Mars and The Forbidden Planet. I like the original color version of Forbidden Planet, but I was a kid when I seen it, so. No, I liked Robinson Crusoe of Mars. It was also campy, but when I say campy, it's just because the technologies of their special effects really just aren't up to cue for what we're used to seeing today. That's all. It's kind of like watching the original Star Trek series and then watching Enterprise, because the Enterprise is before Star Trek is, but their technology seems to be quite a bit better than the Enterprise was. So it's just kind of hard sometimes to watch. It's all. It's just one of them things. You know what I did recently like was John Carter of Mars. I don't know why I liked it either, because it's a goofy ass movie.
I like the books. The movie was just okay, but that was some of the earliest books that I've read. Like this is like back in translation.
I think the one I read was Princess of Mars, actually, but they're fun to read, people. Yes, there's a lot of stuff on Mars. No, there's really and truly there's at least 4 movies I can think of Mars. So there's the series Mars. It's just what it's named, Mars. That's actually a decent series because one, you have scientists in it, real scientists, including Elon Musk, are talking, and it's like a documentary and a series at the same time. So because they're going to Mars and they're living on Mars and they're colonizing Mars, but they're also talking to these different scientists along the way. So like they cut out, cut in. It's interesting. I wouldn't say it's. Oh, you mean if I had to rate, I'd give it like a 6.5. But it was interesting. And then there's a couple other Mars movies that are just kind of fun to watch.
Martin Shoemaker, who is a big Writers of the Future supporter, has a couple of novels. One of them is on a ship that's traveling from Earth to Mars, and one of them takes Fuller on Mars, like in the same series. I don't recall the names right now, but I do remember enjoying reading them. So that's something that's more that's set on Mars.
Jimmy Lee, I don't know what's really current on Mars. No, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen anything.
Well, what about The Martian?
Wait, say I broke up right. You said it.
The Martian by Andy Weir.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot.
We definitely should be mentioning that.
Yes, I did, and I forgot all about it too. It's it's one of the things that went right out of my head. What are you talking about? Barbie had nothing to do with Mars. Y'all are smoking weed today, aren't y'all? No, y'all ain't smoking weed. Y'all smoking crack. Because weed people wouldn't be this dumb. No, don't even start on me about that. I could give a shit less what you smoke. As long as it's legal, I have no problem with it. Yeah. Do whatever I tell people all the time, whatever makes you feel as snug as a bug in a rug. As long as it ain't hurting somebody else. That's right. Oh, get out of here, Jimmy. So every time I go to LA, I get high. And it's not even because I'm trying to get high. So we left. I was with some of the top illustrators and authors on the freaking planet. Okay. I was actually with the guy who drew the dragons for Dungeons and Dragons. So we left a hotel where we were staying. We were walking over to Author Services to get some pictures. We made 10 steps out of the hotel. There was like 8 or 9 of us, or 10 of us. And there's like 5 guys in the corner just smoking out. You got to remember, some of these old guys, or even some of these young guys, have never smoked before. Okay, I'm not all innocent like they are, but so by the time we get down the middle of the street, this is in the evening. It's a Friday evening, and we get, I don't know, 100 yards, not even that, 50 yards down the street. It's a big pack of people. Everybody's smoking, so you got to work your way through it. It's just a big cloud is what you're going through. I mean, every 20 or 30 feet, there was somebody smoking all the way till we got there. Look, these guys were so high. They looked at me, their freaking name. I was laughing. I couldn't stop laughing at them. I was like, oh, yes, pictures of them. Yeah, I'm not in them because I'm the one taking the pictures, but I'm in some of them, but still. No, they're high. I mean, you can look at their eyes. They're like glowing red. Ooh, it was bad. And nobody was even drinking. Yeah, that was the funny part. And then we had to go back the same way. It was just LA. It's recreational in LA, and we're on Hollywood Boulevard, and everybody's smoking on Hollywood Boulevard. Everybody. It's don't. I can tell you now, people. It's like I tell you, don't bring your kid to Bourbon Street. Don't bring your kid to Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, because they are chiefing like you wouldn't believe, especially on the weekends. Oh no, I went out with I went out with one of the winners. He was from Australia, and 3 winners from the UK. And every club we went to, they were just smoking you out the club. The funny part is when I'd walk up to the bartender, I'd order like 4 drinks. I'd say, "Oh no, I'm from New Orleans." I said, "He's from Australia. They're from the UK." We never paid for not even a drink at any club we went into, not one. And there'd be people walking by like a handful of weed and put it on the table. "Here y'all go, y'all have fun." I'm like, y'all guys are going to jail, man. It was just too funny. Well, no, because being from New Orleans makes a difference. We're more social than a lot of the states are, so it's easier for me to interact with. And I do radio and TV, so it's easier for me to interact. So when I'm talking to people, I'm real honest and open about it. And when are you going to actually meet somebody from New Orleans, from somebody from Australia, and 3 people from the UK all at one time in one place? So it's an interesting conversation. People want to sit down and talk with you. And then they found out they're all winners and stuff, and the crowd gets bigger. It gets a little insane is what it does. It's fun, though. Yeah. Again, though, that's one of those things. I tell people all the time, if boobies offend you, don't go on Bourbon Street. If marijuana offend you, don't go on Hollywood Boulevard. That's the best way to say it. I have no idea. Who was that? Just one of the winners just told me that if he smokes weed, he can't write at all. It's like he goes like, duh, he can't. He said his brain just. But what's his name? I can't say his name on air because I don't want to get him in trouble. But he said he writes better. So different strokes for different folks. Mm-hmm. Why do y'all think? Okay, I'm confused now. So now you think we're both from? Do I sound like I'm from Canada? Alex does not sound like he's from Canada to me. First off, he's not saying "a" every time he talks. A. I mean, come on. There's no way you can think either one of us are from Canada. And y'all wonder why I'm saying y'all smoking crack, right? Okay, we're gonna leave that alone. Lately, it's been they've been doing these accents things, and then they've been doing these things. Are you married? Things it drives me crazy. And favorite. Okay, so Sherry's writing in. Where are you writing in from, Sherry? From Portland, Oregon. Hey, how you doing up there in Oregon? Who is your favorite sci-fi character? In movie and TV? I mean, I don't know, Alex. What do you think? That could. Oh wait, before we go there, I want to answer this one. So, Ronnie writes in. He is writing in from Queens. He wants to know. He's asking us both this. What was your favorite Battlestar Galactica? Okay, I will tell you this. I didn't like the last one because there was no comedy in it. The first one was just stupid as just dumb shit. Starbuck was funny as hell in the first one, but it was what it was. The second one, Starbuck was so intense, I thought she was going to pop. Okay, guys, I know a lot of y'all know us special forces when in the service. So I'm going to tell y'all a little secret. When you're in this shit and you think you're going to die, you're still going to crack a joke. Oh yeah, sometimes some pretty good ones too. Because you think you're going to die, you might as well get. Because if you're too tense going into a moment, you're going to probably get yourself killed. Yeah, that's why you hear people sometimes when they're waiting to go in somewhere, you'll hear them just like saying something to themselves or chatting to the guy next to them. Yes, that's how it is in the real world. So it should be that way when you're doing sci-fi. I don't know. Alex, did you even see any of the Battlestar Galactica? I was forced to watch it.
I didn't see the original. It was before my time. I never kind of went back to check it out. I heard good things. The second one, the one that everybody likes, I wasn't a big fan, honestly. I mean, I thought it had some good episodes, but I had to force myself to finish watching it just to see how they would resolve it.
So did I. Oh, don't get me wrong. No, I mean, I had a lot of friends who loved it to death. I mean, they thought it was the best thing ever. And I was like, I'm missing something here. Well, first off, guys, it was nothing like the original, so you can just rule that out. Secondly, it was no fun to it. It was just they never relaxed. Well, I know you think you're going to die, but even then you're still going to relax. Come on, Francis Scott Key wrote the damn Pledge of Allegiance while being bombed off the planet. I mean, you got to think about it, guys. sometimes there just needs to be a little bit of comedy. It doesn't have to be ridiculous, but there has to be some. So that's why I already like Alex, because he already says he includes it in his books. He said it's got to be fun to read. Sci-fi and comedy go together like hotcakes and syrup, my friend. It's almost like they were designed for each other. Because
everybody likes a good joke. It's relieves tension. Like there's so many different ways to utilize it in writing a story. It doesn't have to be an outright comedy. You can just put enough good humor in there. So think about the Marvel Avengers movies. They're not humorous films, but they have enough humor in them to relieve the tension and to keep the reader entertained and happy. So I think that's the best way to utilize humor, unless you're literally writing a joke book, which is fine, but but much harder.
No, he's absolutely no, because in Marvel they're doing some pretty serious stuff, but then the Hulk's just standing there and just reaches over and punches Thor on the side of the head. It's just like, really? I mean, it's just stupid stuff. Or but anyway, it's stuff like that it makes you laugh and it allows them to reset to wherever they're going next. It actually works quite well. Sci-fi can be too serious sometimes, yes. And even though sci-fi can reflect current political situations, sometimes there still needs to be some humor in it. I mean, right now, if you were writing a book and you were including Joe Biden, there would have to be some comedy in there. I mean, he's done some shit lately that is just funny. It's sad, but it's also funny. And so you'd have to include some of that in there. What's that, Marcia? If you want to know who I vote for and who I voted for, you come watch news on the flip side. Yeah, we talk about it. You mean this election? I'm moving to Canada this election, man. I'm just kidding.
And then they'll be right and you'll be a Canadian.
Yes, that's right. And no, Canada's more screwed up than we are right now. I've got friends up there that just want to toss Trudeau into the ocean. But I do like Trudeau because he does support the arts greatly in his country. He might not be the best prime minister when it comes to just running the country, but he is really good for arts and crafts and stuff like that. He really believes that people should be able to express themselves that way. Now, if you're on Facebook expressing yourself, he doesn't think you should be able to do that. So he's, what can you say? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's a lot of good talented authors out there. And the fact that Alex is actually out there publishing and making money, that's 5 times as good. Who is this? Jeremy Hauser. Where are you from, Jeremy? Where? Rewrite that. It looks like jibber jabber, or it's some country I can't pronounce the name of, one or the other. Kakistan. Because I never pronounce that right. No, I know where it's at. Yeah. So what do you? Because I have a coon-ass accent. That's why. Kakistan. I know I'm not saying it right. It's like saying.
Are you saying Kazakhstan?
Yeah, there you go. See, he said it right off the bat. Look at that. No, man, I've never been good with that. I don't know what that is. It's called old age, really. I think I was an honor student in school. I know, isn't that some shit? Well, anyway, what do you got for us? So he's basically wanting to know. He said he wants to try to be an author, but he seems to get into a story and then gets stuck. And he said, what is it that helps you get past that? He said, I don't want to call it writer's block because I still have the idea in my head. It's just for some reason, there's I'm at this part and I'm having a hard time bridging to the next part. And how the hell we know what the next part is?
So I have advice that helped me out greatly with that one, especially when I was starting out. I never begin writing a short story until I know exactly how it ends. And every scene that I write needs to somehow advance the story toward that ending. So what that does is it still gives you the kind of shoulder space to create new things and to write cool stuff that you weren't planning, just to pants essentially. But you also have a roadmap. You're going somewhere instead of just meandering. And so if you just do that, you're gonna find that you're finishing those stories a lot more often. And it's very cool that you're writing in Kazakhstan. Actually, I've translated some authors. They write in Russian, but I translated some authors from over that part of the world.
So, yeah, he said He said that English was a little tougher than he thought it was going to be. He said he's still having some problems with it, but he's oh, you got one of them Google yeah, no, them international translators. Those they actually work good. Yeah, I think they do 40 languages now.
They don't work well for fiction. So I'm a professional.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, tell him.
This is what I get paid the big money for. I can tell you with absolute certainty that you cannot translate fiction by putting it through Google Translate or ChatGPT or any of those things, because they have no subtlety, no context, and they really don't have an ear for the story sounding good. And by the way, you don't have to start out by writing fiction in English. You can start out writing in your language and get published there, and then potentially get translated or continue to work work with as well.
And you know what? Now he said that some of these writers, if you send it and have it translated, they can write it for you, or some of them can translate it. So, well, yeah, there's people who can translate pretty well. And today, and I can help you cheat. So, in a system like we're on right now, you can actually come in and speak your language, and have it audio translated, and it'll give you a transcript of it, an audio translation of it. And then you can go back with the audio translation and the transcript and make sure it's the way you want it to be. It's a little more sophisticated than it used to be. But no, I agree with him when it comes to the new universal translators that we have, the ones you hold in your hand. I'm not talking about the ones you get online, but there is a lack of subtlety. It's kind of like AI in a way. There's a lack of subtlety too. I mean, it's just if you're standing there with the guy haggling over the brooch, yeah, it'll work fine for that.
Exactly.
That's really what it's designed for, really.
If you want to translate directions, if you want to translate a letter, like a business note, it's fine. But fiction is different. Fiction is about the music of the voice. You want to, like, the story, there needs to be a cadence. There needs to be, really, like, when you're reading a story, the voice needs to immerse you into the work. And those translating programs are just not capable of doing that, nor are they trying to do that.
Yeah, and they aren't. You're absolutely right. They're not designed for that. They're not. And eventually someone, or AI, somebody somewhere down the line will try to smooth them over, especially for people like me. It would help. But what's that, Christopher? No, so when I'm speaking, like when I'm doing lectures and stuff like that. See, tonight we're just talking, and this is the first time I've met Alex, and we're just chit-chatting. But when I'm doing lectures, it's a much different. First off, I use a little bit different voice than the one you hear right now. It's a little more monotone. It's a little bit more pronounced, so it's really good for translators and stuff like that. And it's also really good for dictating when I want to go back and reread something. It's really good for that. But radio, it's not that good of a voice because it could put you night. So I put it to a test when I used to host Wake Up USA. I said, I'm going to do this whole show, and well, no, Christopher, no, I do hypnosis, and I do use that voice for hypnosis. I most certainly do. And it's just one plat sound, and if you start listening to it, you will catch yourself. And about 10 minutes in, you'll be like, wow, you're just kind of zoning out. And it's hypnotic. It's not hypnotic enough to put you to sleep, but it locks you into what I'm saying. It locks you into my voice. I'm not going to tell you who, but it was a very famous speaker that taught me this. He said, let me show you something, Joe. And he said, prove this to you in front of a live audience. And he did, and it worked just fabulously well. Because, when you're speaking to a group, you need to keep their attention. If your voice is moving around or up and down, high and all over, unless it's something to do with excitement, the audience is following it, and they can get antsy. We'll just leave it at that. Also, too, I'll almost always find 3 or 4 people in the audience that I can look at, stare at, make eye contact with. It helps me, and it makes them feel special, and it helps me to keep pace to where I'm at. Yes, there's lots of cheats, like the one Art Bell taught me. Always have, when you're going to do more than an hour of radio, always have a hot drink and a cold drink next to you, because it helps to keep your voice plateaued out. I know, little stupid things like that. Yes. Wait, yeah, you like Alex? Well, go buy his damn book. Well, wait, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. I mean, go purchase Mr. Alex book. I mean, can they find you in the regular places, or?
Oh yeah, it's all. I mean, this is these are traditionally published books. They're in bookstores. They're in all the online places, Amazon. If you like audiobooks, they're in audio formats. So
see.
I mean, they're in everything.
Now you're on my best friends list now because you got audiobooks.
Oh yeah.
Well, you see, I tell people because my schedule makes it hard for me to sit and read anymore. And if the book is not completely exciting, I'll catch myself waking up with it on my chest. So it's just easier for me. I have an hour and a half drive to work and back every day, so it gives me plenty of time. Matter of fact, that's how I was listening to Mission Earth. And so an audiobook is perfect for me as long as it's a decent voice. Which not all audiobooks have sound effects. Some of them are just somebody reading the story. No, okay, an audiobook is an audiobook, somebody reading the story, and then you have production books, which are audiobooks, but they have big productions that go in, thousands of sound effects and stuff like that. And that does make a difference, but to be honest with you, as long as there's a decent voice, I don't really need the sound effects. As long as it's a book. Now, if you're going to bring every character to life in the book with different voices, then yes, I need sound effects to distinguish. But if it's just somebody going to read me the book, is like if Alex got a book and it's just going to be them reading the book, that's all I need. I don't need all that other crap with it. I just need that. And I can turn it on and be driving and be listening to the story as I'm driving along. It's relaxing for me in the mornings and in the afternoons when I've been being aggravated by people. So it's more popular than people ever thought it was going to be. Most people didn't think audiobooks were going to, for that matter, audiobooks or ebooks. People go, ebook? What's an ebook? You don't even get the damn book, Joe. I said, but you get it on your pad, which you can take everywhere with you now. So I said, in order to take as many books as you could put on your pad, you'd have to have a freaking 18-wheeler, my friend. I said, your pad can literally have a couple of thousand books on it. So, I mean, it's a little bit different. And you can have the book. That's what people don't realize. You can actually have the book. You can flip the pages. Everything that book has, and even any flaws in the book would still be there on the pad. Yes, I mean you can have it done like that, or you can just have it done where you're just going to scroll through it as like notes or paper.
I listen to audiobooks all the time because if I have time to sit there and read, I have time to write. So yes. I have no excuse. If I feel guilty if I sit down to read the book, and I'll still do it sometimes, especially if I'm reading stuff that's not out yet, like for blurbing or for purposes like that. But for the most part, my audiobook, I have it set up where I start my car and the audiobook starts playing automatically.
Yeah, that's how mine is right now. It's as long as I got my pad with me. I do have a couple set up on my phone, but matter of fact, I was what's that diamond? Oh no, so Mission Earth, you mean? I've been having that on my pad for over a year and a couple of months now. They actually asked me if I would review it because you can't get it. It's not, you can get the book, but you can't get the audiobook. So I think I'm on book 6 now. Book 6 or 7. I got 3 books left to go. Maybe another year. It was not that. No. It's fun to listen to. The first book is kind of slow, but it's fun to listen to. And there's some really good characters and some really good sound effects. But there's other stuff I want to hear too, or stuff that I'm working on that I need to hear, or stuff for my actual work that I need to hear. But like now that he's got an audiobook, I'll probably catch his audiobook one day on work and then invite him back to talk about it. But, well, I tell this to authors all the time. Authors always want to send me books, and I want them so I can put them back here or give them away. But if they have an audiobook, I actually prefer that they give me access to that because that'll get listened to. The odds of me sitting down and reading a book is not really that good. But the odds of me listening to your audiobook is way high. So I'm just being honest with y'all, people. I know there's a lot of authors listening to this show, and whereas John, I didn't invite John tonight. He'd been kind of busy lately. He'd been down in Clearwater and going on, and well, no, he'd come on for any authors. No, he don't just come on just for Writers of the Future's authors, but we're talking about John Goodwin, president of Galaxy Press, and well, he's the head of Writers of the Future. He is. His wife, Emily, does. That's who you heard in those 2 commercials. That's her voice. Yeah, she does. She's the VP. She does a lot of work. She sets up the gala and makes sure they get from event to event. Yeah. Well, he's the boss. Bosses boss and workers work. Yes, that's how that shit works. Will you act like I invented this? Don't hate on me. I didn't invent none of this. And I did see that commercial. I did. And we'll talk about that on Friday night show. It's as soon as it's true. No, it is true. It is true. He's the only president that doesn't come from slave owners. It is actually is true. I was stunned, by the way, when I found that it was true, but it is true. Well, because Barack Obama, his parents were his mom was white, and she does descend from slave owners, so that means he does too. Yeah, yeah. And when anybody asks a question, that's what they always say. Oh, it's Barack, but it's not Barack, who's the only president that didn't own slaves. Family didn't own slaves. Yeah, yeah. It's one of them things, you know. I'm not voting for any of them. You can't. Okay. Yeah, we're going to vote for Alex because he's doing sci-fi. We need somebody with a freaking sense of humor in the White House. How's that? Now that would be fun.
I do not want the job.
Oh, come on, man. I'll come help you out. We could play some pranks of Putin. Send you a UFO hovering over the Kremlin.
So, keep in mind that our Constitution doesn't allow people, somebody like me to actually.
Oh, that's right. I forget. Yeah, you're not natural born. I apologize.
I can be a governor like Schwarzenegger, but
yeah,
but that's
they seriously thought about trying to change the law for Schwarzenegger. They really did because they thought he'd make a good president.
And I think
he probably would have. He was a good governor. He's like Reagan, did a good job with California. Let's put it this way: the only two big Republican governors are the two best governors California ever had. You mean no, man? I love that guy, but he's fun to talk about, but he's not really a great governor. No, we're not going to mention his name. No. He might be your next president. I can't mention his name. Y'all go on. I'm fixing to. Everybody here talking about politics. I'm fixing to bounce. Okay, yeah. Get back to your topic matters. That's right. My favorite fantasy would. Now, see, I can't say this out loud because I hate this bitch. It's either going to be Lord of the Rings or J.K. Rowling's stuff. I don't know. It's so commercial. No, I see. Lord of the Rings is tough for me because Lord of the Rings got me through technical school in the Navy. Oh yeah, there were some rough days, and those 3 books saved my ass. I ain't gonna lie to you. They allowed me to relax enough that I didn't go ape shit and get myself in trouble. No, I read Lord of the Rings first, and then The Hobbit afterwards. Yeah, or The Hobbit afterwards. I read them backwards. Mm-hmm. But fantasy, I'd have to say Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. There's some funny shit in Harry Potter, people. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't like J.K. Rowling. That's all. I cannot like the author and still enjoy the book. Come on. This is not a communist country. This is not North Korea. No, you can. Serious sci-fi. What do you mean by serious sci-fi? Like what? Give me an example. Well, I can't ask Alex if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, can I? I mean, what is serious sci-fi to you? We just talked about Battlestar Galactica being kind of serious sci-fi. I mean, what? Well, when you come up with something, you just text us and then we'll talk about it. How's that? No, we will. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to hate on you. I think Alex got a good sense of humor. I can't wait to get into some of this stuff. Well, I always like sci-fi. Anything with a little humor always makes me much happier. You could be chopping somebody's head off and crack a joke. I'm happy. Even though there's bloods and guts and shit squirting all over, I'm happy because you cracked a joke. Yeah. Well, it's life is what it is. What do you mean? You mean when I was in the field, if I was going to kill somebody, I'd be cracking jokes all over the place. And whoever said that, who told y'all that? I've never killed anybody. And even if I did, I couldn't tell y'all. I mean, come on.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it. But
that's it. I'm sticking to it. Space. Yes, if I did tell you, they'd probably come kill you. You think how many people listen to this show right now? It could be bad. It could be like a Holocaust, man. We don't want to go there. Oh no, I remember that guy who was on. He said, if I tell you all the secrets, the government's going to come kill him. I said, I was on my other show. I got like 3.7 million listeners on News on the Flips. I was like, really? That's just going to be a bloody massacre, man. Y'all going to have a lot of explaining to do. I said, you must think we only got like 25 listeners or something, man. I'm like, huh? Plus, they're not all in the U.S. They're all around the damn planet. Again, Alex, what would you consider serious sci-fi? I mean, in a book,
I can't speak to what the listener was asking, but I'm guessing maybe something like what I would consider to be hard science fiction. So like a science fiction that like is really rooted and based in science. And there's a lot of stuff like that out there. I
There
mean,
is.
so The Martian and the other, the Project Hail Mary are really good examples of that. I actually like Project Hail Mary better by Andy Weir because it's basically the very similar plot where you have a scientist who essentially has to MacGyver his way out of a really bad situation. But they're using real science and they're like very faithful. They're not doing lightsabers and the Force. They're really faithful to how science actually works. So if that's the type of stories that your listener was asking about, I would say Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, go check it out, guys. Jack, I do have a bachelor's in science. I surely do. And technically, it's in advanced avionics and advanced electronics. Yes. You mean the last time I worked in it? You probably wasn't even born, man. I'm old, dude. You probably wasn't even born. No. It's been a long time. I've been in business for myself for over 30 years, so it's been a long time. Yeah. Why did I go in business for myself? For the same reason Alex did. Working for the man sucks.
Unless you're the man.
Unless you're the man. And then you're like, yeah. I don't really know. I just like sci-fi in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, I like near now, but I like pretty much all sci-fi. It can be way out in the future too. It's just, oh no, we're not talking about Doctor Who. No, we are not talking about Doctor Who. Is on my shit list right now. No, we're not. Just keep that to yourself. No, we're not. Just write it on. Keep on scrolling on. But you know what? You want to talk about Doctor Who? Come see me on News and the Flip Side where I can really talk about Doctor Who. Yeah, come see me there. We'll talk. We'll discuss it. Mm-hmm. Oh, the actor? No, I like the actor guy. No, he's fine. I have no problems with him. No, that's not my problem. Nope, that's not the problem. And we're not going to talk about it. No, we're not. Oh, but I will give you a list if you're a Doctor Who fan. So if you go see the last Doctor before the series paused, he was 982 years old, I believe. So coming forward to the new Doctor, he was actually 800. He was younger than the last Doctor by about 100 something years. So they really screwed the pooch on that. Then quite if you're an old Doctor Who fan and you know, because people don't realize this, they only see the new Doctor Who and Gallifrey doesn't exist, but in the old Doctors, Gallifrey exists. It's in a lot of the series. It's part of Doctor Who. It doesn't get destroyed until the in between time when they take the break for those couple of years. Yeah, it's a much different thing. It's the Doctor Who today is different from the old. From like I said, one, they don't have Gallifrey, and the old Doctor was always getting in trouble. But the reason I bring that up is there's actually rules. Gallifrey actually has rules on things you can and cannot do, and things they think that's okay and not okay. So the new Doctor Who breaks several of those rules. That's why they don't like to talk about Gallifrey. Yes, no, we're not talking about the new ones. No, we're not. Sorry, it's too bad. Discovery. Did you ever watch Star Trek Discovery?
I bounced off of it hard. It was just really poorly made. The new one that I really like from the new batch that Paramount has been doing is Lower Decks.
Lower Decks is just funny.
It's fun.
They actually segued them into what was it? Strange New Worlds? No, maybe it was just, I don't know, one of the real ones or one of the human. Oh shit! Anyway, the one non-cartoon ones they segued it into, but I can't remember which one it was.
That was a Strange New World episode where they actually had them show up and be played by real actors.
Yeah,
so I thought that was a lot of fun.
It was. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
There's so many references to like old Star Trek stuff, so many nods that you blink and you miss them. I bet, like, I like Star Trek, but I'm not like a huge expert on it, and I'm sure that I'm missing a lot of the references. But I'm still enjoying the heck out of that one.
Jamie. So I didn't catch Star Trek in its heyday when it first premiered. I think I caught it in its second or third rerun set. And I enjoyed the old Star Trek, and I was like, Kirk was a whore. Let's just be honest about it. But anyway, so was Riker, for that matter. He was just as bad. It's just part of Star Trek. It's just one of those things that the guys just can't. They always got to be kissing somebody damn every episode. I don't know what that was about.
You wanted
But
to
I
get
was,
traffic because the women weren't watching.
yeah. Well, that's true.
That's what it was.
I was a middle range fan. I've never been like over the top kind of fan, but I mean, I enjoyed him. And when a lot of people giving Deep Space Nine trouble, the only thing I didn't like about it, to be honest with you, I like pretty much everything Deep Space Nine except for what's his name, the captain.
Oh, I
And
love.
I didn't dislike him. It was something sometimes he would get stuck in between for me for some reason. I don't exactly know why. My favorite character was Quark by far. I'm sorry,
Oh,
guys.
sure, yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
think he made it's between him and Picard for a favorite captain for me, actually.
And
I liked him a lot. I thought, I mean, it took him a little while. If you watch him in the
it
first,
did take him.
if you watch him in the first season, he's not really like quite like aligned with the role yet. But like after, there's a long show. It was what, like 7 seasons? So after the
7
first,
seasons.
I thought he really, kind of like inhabited the role very well.
I think it was like 180 episodes or 175 episodes. It's a lot. Oh no, people! Today they don't do real seasons. They don't even give me that shit. 8 episodes is no. That's not even a season. So in the old days, you got at least 25 shows a year. At least 25 a year. Before that, actually, in the older shows, you used to get 50 a year. So the original Doctor Who series, they did 50 a year.
Oh God!
Actually, they did 52 a year. Actually, because they did holiday specials.
So the American shows used to be 22 to 24 episodes always.
Yeah,
I mean, like unless something weird happened with the network.
So the reason shows like Discovery had a hard time making it is because you try to cram in 10 episodes, 25 episodes worth of stuff. And it just doesn't work. It's too much, and you start missing stuff. And Discovery's main problem was well, first off, the Klingon War. That's not how the Klingon War happened. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even a Star Trek junkie, and I know that's not how it happened. It was just they took so many things for granted, and they never realized how many people watched the old Star Trek. And I'm not talking about Kirk Star Trek. I'm talking about Janeway and Picard and Cisco. They didn't realize even the Z-Geners had been watching them. So when they went off in this tangent with Discovery, everybody's like, well, it was decent sci-fi, but it was crappy Star Trek, and that's what killed it. So what they did was they said, we'll save it. We're just going to go 29 centuries into the future, and then we can do whatever the hell we want because, they don't really know what's going on then. But even that didn't work. I thought they were going to try to make something out of it this last season, but they got, they just got a little overly politically correct. And you can't. Sorry about that. Just lightning out, thundering outside.
There's so much great TV out there. It used to be when we were young, right? There were like maybe 1 or 2 science fiction shows on television at any given time. And so with science fiction or fantasy, you watched it. It doesn't matter what it was, you watched it.
It's true.
You didn't have options. Now there's a gazillion streaming services and networks and and like they're all doing these like because the production costs have gone down, right? So they're all doing this like mind-bending, like big special effect sci-fi. So like why watch stuff that's mediocre when you can just watch the good stuff? Like there's only so much time.
Yeah, that is. And what's that, Chris? Well, yeah. Well, it depends what you want. I mean, if you watch some of the Marvel movies, the storylines weren't the best. I mean, there was issues, but the sci-fi and the special effects and technology was fabulous. So it made up the difference.
Yeah, they were spectacles. I mean, you went in there because you wanted to see that in the movie theater, right? Because you wanted to see it on the big screen and get the sound effects. You wanted the spectacle. I mean, a lot of the better science fiction movies, you don't even need to go see it in the theater because it's not about the special effects. It's about the plot.
It's about the plot, yeah. I know what movie you're talking about. Ender's Game, yeah. No, I've interviewed Orson a couple times, but I've met Orson and Scott Card too. He's a character. I'll just say that he's a nice guy. I'm not hating on him. He's a nice guy. He just he has very strong views on a lot of things. I'll tell you that much. Well, there's an interview up on the YouTube page. It's actually on SoundCloud too, where I interviewed him when I was in California a few months ago, and it's a good interview. And he's rowdy, buddy. He's an older guy too, and he's rowdy. Go listen to it. You'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. He went out on a limb on a couple of things, which I enjoyed. But Well, you got to be so people, and this is a piece of advice for anybody who's in the arts, whatever art you may be in. Don't pick a side. I don't care what your political views are or your religious views. Don't pick a side. When you pick a side, you lose half your check just went out the window.
Yep.
Don't be stupid. And don't take my word for it. Look how it's racked out Hollywood with all this wokeness. Even the NFL got kicked really hard because of wokeness. People, keep it to yourself. I don't watch. I don't. You want to teach me some lessons, fine. Some things I don't need to learn on TV on my favorite sci-fi show because frankly, it's all over the news. So you're just wasting it in there. And you're turning me off of it, so I won't watch your show. I'm not the only one, people. A lot of shows are really taking a big beating over this. It's just, we want to watch it. For me, it's an escape. And if you're making me not escape, then I'm not watching you. That's as simply as I can tell you that. I don't care what your political views are, and I don't care what your religious views are. Save that for when you. So it's like a good friend of mine who plays for the NFL. He told me, but it's our stage. I said, no, it's my stage. I'm paying to watch that. I said, your stage is when you're off the field and you're doing all those interviews all around the country. That's when you say that shit. Okay, so that's a perfect time for Sarah. It's like when you're on my podcast, talk about it, man. Spit it out, get out what you want. But when you're standing there ready to play football, that's not the time. We didn't come there to watch that shit. We came there to watch you bring somebody's brains out and score a touchdown. That's what we're there for. And it's the same thing with sci-fi TV. We're there for the television or the movies to enjoy it.
If you read Card's work, he's very good about not injecting his personal views into it. You could not tell what his actual views are.
No, that's true. That's true.
He's a master storyteller. Ender's Game is one of my favorite books, and the rest of the series I love as well. But yeah, I may not agree with all of his views politically, but I will not see those views in my face in his books.
No, you're not. Well, that's what I was telling you guys. If you go listen to it, you'll see. If you've read any of his stuff or you've seen any of his stuff, when you listen to the interview I did with him, you're not going to reconcile that person with the author. You're going to actually think they're different people. But no, everybody has a views. I don't really talk about my political view, even on a news show. I'll just say stuff like, "Oh my God, that guy was a bleeping moron," or "Jesus, how could anybody even think about that guy?" Well, no, we don't. We hate. No, when I tell you we hate on everybody, we hate on everybody. Doesn't matter what sex you are. Doesn't matter what color you are. Don't matter where you are in the world. If you have done something really stupid, guess what? We're going to remind you of it. Oh, no, I hate on Putin all the time. I like it. Xi Jinping. Well, Xi Jinping's a little different because when I can't remember the other guy's name, but when he left power in China, just before he did, when Hong Kong went back to China, we had servers in Hong Kong. So the People's Republic called me and said, well, look, we like your station. And this is a long time ago. It's over 20 years. He said, they said, as long as you don't hate on the leader, whatever his name was, you can talk about anything else you want. We don't care. You can hate on the Communist Party if you want. Just don't talk about the leader. You're welcome to stay in our country. And then they gave me 20 servers in their country in 12 of their biggest cities. They still manage the service for us. They're listening to us right now. So today, it's Xi Jinping's in charge, so we don't hate on Xi, but we hate on everything else. We don't care. And I have said some stuff about Xi Jinping too. So they enjoy it. We enjoy it, but it's, I believe that you should be able to express your feelings, but that's what that show is for. News on the Flip Side is designed for people to come out and get that kind of stuff off their chest if they want to. But again, I'm going to tell you, and I tell this to all, when I give a lecture at a couple places for authors, one of the first things I tell them is don't reveal your political views. I said, I wouldn't even reveal your religious views if you didn't have to. I said, I would just say, hey, hi. Well, it's like when you get Shanghai, like if Alex would have came on here tonight and I would have been mean to him or Shanghai or heard something he said that I wanted to catch him off guard about, I actually teach hosts how to deal with that kind of stuff. Yes, because really and truly, the guest, how to deal with that kind of stuff, because really and truly, the guest does have control of the interview. All they got to do is go click. So it's important, but they need to realize that sometimes one little girl was asking, but I would look bad. I said, no, you'd make the host look bad. I said, because it would make the host look like he or she was picking on you, and that's why you dropped out the conversation. I said, because if you stand there and try to go toe with a host that's been doing radio for more than 10 years, you're in trouble, especially somebody like me who's been doing it for 30. Your ass is going to be in a world of trouble. I said, so don't try to do that. I said, look, you can even get up and walk off a stage if you feel like that they're really taking you down, because the longer you put up with it, the more stuff gets said about you. I said, and if you leave and they still talk about you, then people look at them differently. Like, oh, you're going to talk about them where they can't even defend themselves. So people automatically revert sides. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you got to learn like that. But for the most part, I always tell everybody the same thing. Go listen to somebody's work before you do their radio show. Yes, and you'll find out I'm a really nice guy, unless we're talking politics, and then not so much. Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean alien stuff? Yeah, well, I host you up on the cover, so we talk about aliens. We talk about all kind of fun stuff like that. So, y'all, I know we only got a couple minutes left, so y'all better go out, get some Alex's books, check them out. I'm going to get his audiobook. I'm going to try to get it today or tomorrow. That way I can, I'll probably listen to it on my way to work this week sometime. What's that, Jimmy? No, I'm not going to tell you. Go, don't be a cheap ass. Go get the book. Oh, dude, it's not going to be $100. What are you talking about? Just because you live in Canada, the audiobooks don't have to be shipped, you goofball. You people. I know it's Saturday, so I'm not going to give y'all trouble. Y'all must be, sipping some whiskey sours or something down over there. Nah, but go get it. All right. If y'all going to stay on his favorite stuff, I'll give y'all, we got a couple minutes. What's that? Kareem? Where you from, Kareem? Key West, Florida. Damn, you even got a signal down in Key West? Every time I go down there, you can't get no damn internet down here. How you doing that? What do you got for us? He does look like a nice guy. I know, he seems like a nice guy. What, do you want to marry the guy or something? How do you even know he's like that? You don't even know. Did you even ask him? So now, you see, you're just making assumptions. But what's the question, really, since you're being a goofball? What do you got? Oh, okay. So, no. So, he was asking, when you're setting up your protagonist, is there any secrets to making that person really stand out? Sorry, my burglar alarm seems to be going off.
I think the secret, it's not so much, it's an open secret. Every writer knows it. But you really, really have to put your protagonist through the ringer. You can't make things easy for them. You can't create a situation where they're just Superman going around, beating everybody up, solving all the problems. Nobody's going to want to read that. People want to read about like the character struggling, like really having a hard time, dealing with all sorts of issues, making difficult decisions. That's what lets us really connect with the characters. And so find something interesting about the character you want to write about and start from that starting point. And then you can kind of round that character up. You can build their personality. You can build what they're into, what they like. But what is the core thing that makes that person interesting and that all of us would want to read an entire book about that person?
Oh, what's that, Stephanie? Stephanie's asking you now, and I've heard this in more. I've had other authors tell me this too, but Stephanie said she's been told on more than one occasion she should start with the end of the story first, and then do like a chunk of the end of the story, and then start at the beginning to work your way back to how you got there. She said, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I said earlier that I never start writing a story or a novel or anything without knowing how it ends. And so you don't necessarily have to write that ending down, but as long as it's very clear in your head, it will allow you to build that map. So I kind of, like when I teach writing at like workshops and things, I kind of describe it as a lighthouse method, where you're conceptualizing several of the key points that happened in your story that are really fun and exciting and you really want to get to them. And everything that you write, you go from point A to point B to point C to point D. And so each of them is a lighthouse, and you write them in the distance, and you're writing your story in a way that will lead you in that general direction. Who's that?
That is the killer, man. She will eat your toes off, buddy.
Oh, no.
That's Lola. Lola said, what's going on? It's lightning around my house. Both my dogs like, uh-oh, come on now. What is this? Look, see, look, friend. See, friend?
This is Leia.
Say, Leia and Lola. See that? Look at that.
My cat, he's sleeping in the other chair.
Yeah. I used to have one in the house with my my other dog, Fiona. She's not a big come here, Fiona. me show y'all. She's a
Yeah, I
big
saw
girl.
the other one. I saw. Yeah, I saw her in the background, kind of walking around a little bit.
Yeah, she's back there. Whoa, get down. She's back there goofing around.
All right.
Y'all go and get out of here. We only got a couple minutes, and then Daddy will come feed you. I know what y'all are after. Lightning and food. What's that, Denise? I don't know. Denise was asking if you do any book signings anywhere. If you're going to be anywhere, she could come by and see you. Why
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, my website, which you've been very kindly putting at the bottom of the scroller there, I always post about my upcoming events. Next weekend, I will be at NASFIC in Buffalo. Then in a couple of weeks, I'll be at the World Science Fiction Convention at Glasgow, Scotland. And then later, at the end of the month, I'll be at DragonCon in Atlanta. So
I'll see you. I'll be at DragonCon myself.
Oh, well, we got a link up.
It's yeah, no, I'm jealous he's going to Glasgow, Scotland. Come on, I'd love to go to Scotland. I'm not sure how I would communicate with you because every time I bring someone from Scotland, we can't really talk because their accent's worse than mine. It's hey Joe there. I'm like, wait, man, speak English. She said, I ain't speaking English. I said, I had no English I've ever heard before.
I've never been there, and I actually booked several days extra after the convention just so that I can go and.
Oh, it's a beautiful place
because it's one of those bucket list places for me that I really want to see.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I do lots of conventions, especially in the summer. So a lot of opportunities. I also do, a lot. I'm in Brooklyn, so I do a lot of conventions here in the Northeast, in Baltimore and Boston, places like that.
There's a lot of them up there. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about being in the Northeast. There's a lot of stuff. Well, there's 65 million people live in that little corner of the country up there. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes on up there. Lots of conventions, lots of things going on, lots of bookstores. There's just a lot of stuff. What's that, Janice? What? Janice, you live in New York. You'll probably bump into him somewhere. Just check his website. I'm sure he posted. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, even when the show's over, when you see the archive, I mean, you can hear the archive, but remember, if you're listening, you can go to one of the video places on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere, and his website it'll be on the scroller. It's there for life. So as long as the archive exists, you'll be able to get the address. It's pretty easy.
My name, so
yeah, I was going to say it's pretty easy.
Cool.
Yeah, if you've got his name from right there, you can see it written up there. Just it's www. and then .com. Yeah, it's pretty easy, guys. Yeah, well, I'm a believer in it. As easy as archives. I mean, easy as web numbers, links I can make, or web emails for that. Yeah, my emails were icar@cox.net. Man, it's like, psst. Yeah, well, the station's UPRN and Talk Radio. I mean, I try to keep them simple. It's easy. Things people are going to remember. Jackie Gleason. What kind of bullshit name is that? Half of y'all probably don't even know who Jackie Gleason is listening to this show tonight. Yeah, bang zoom to the moon. What do you got? Oh, okay. I misunderstood what you were doing there. So you're going to be your last question, but he's wanting to know if you could recommend any stories about the moon itself, like living on the moon or conquering the moon or things like that. Right offhand, you probably more better read than I am, but right offhand, I can't really think of nothing that just pops out about the moon.
Oh, there's a ton. Moon of the Heart Misters by Heinlein. What I would recommend is look up John Varley. John Varley, Varley. He has a lot of wonderful books, but he has in particular a series, I think, of a few like novels or like short story collections that specifically take place on the moon and deal with moon colonization. And they're really well done. Also, I mentioned this earlier in the show, but For All Mankind on Apple TV, that deals for several seasons. That deals with us getting to the moon, building up a viable colony there, etc. So it's a fascinating show, really well done, and definitely tackles that subject. It's not a book, but they do a really good job.
There you go, guys. I got something to go watch, and well, you'll have his email. You can go over to his website, hit him up, text him from the website or something.
Yeah, I have a forum. I respond to pretty much everybody unless they're like sending me just outright spam. So if you have questions, I'm pretty down to earth and easy to reach.
No, Brittany Sullivan. Hey, Brittany, where you? For some reason, I got the distinct feeling you're writing in from England somewhere. Oh, from London. You're in a pub in London. Is that like a pub in Soho or somewhere? Where the hell are you really? No, really. I believe you. I'm not hating. I'm just you're. London's got a lot of pubs. I mean, it's not like it's like New Orleans got a lot of bars. Yeah, no. So what's up? The pub tour. So wait, I'm confused. Oh, no, okay. So they're saying that there's a tour in England where they have authors set up at different pubs and they call it the pub tour. Mm-hmm. So each day you're at a different pub with one of your books, either discussing it or reading it. Oh, you mean like short stories? Well, you might talk Alex into that. You can just shit, man. I ain't coming there. Half time I'd be drunk. I'd be like, what? Well, I'd probably be playing darts because I like to whip y'all's English butts in darts. Yeah. Get out of here, man. I was champion. You ain't whooping me. That ain't happening.
It'll actually be my second trip to the UK this year.
There you go.
I was a nominee for the British Science Fiction Association Award. And so I attended their convention, EasterCon, in Telford, which is kind of like, think about the suburb of Pittsburgh. It's so out of the way, you have no idea. If you can't fly there, you have to like take a train. Fly into a relatively small city and take a train. All my London friends, I asked them if they're going, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? And of course not. Like, we're not going to go to like anywhere that far away from London." So this will be my second trip to the UK in many years, and I'm really excited because I enjoyed my time in Telford, even though it was a smaller community, but it was a nice way to see like a place that didn't really have tourists, and
that's always a plus.
And Glasgow will definitely be fascinating, and everybody's going to be there. I mean, like World Science Fiction Convention, that's where the Hugo Awards take place. So a lot of the bigger name science fiction writers, editors, they're all attending. So I'm excited to see.
There you go. What's that, Jackie? You mean Larry Nevin? Yeah, I've met him a couple times. I was his escort year before last. Yeah. First year I met Larry, wouldn't even talk to me. He thought I was like the plague or something because I'm pressed. He was like, get that guy away from me. The second year I was there, one of the writers of the Future People just stuck his arm under mine, and I was his escort. We talked quite a bit. Yeah, actually, once I got him talking, he could talk quite a bit. And I spent some time with him last year too. He's won a few awards over the years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But what were you asking me about? No, I don't know what to start. I don't know if I've ever read any. I know a lot of these judges, but in all honesty, I couldn't tell you how much of their stuff I've actually read. And I don't even want to speculate because I don't want to offend anybody. So I know some of these people. Some of these people are actually considered friends now. So I don't want to, But they know I don't read like I used to, so it's not the same thing. What? Oh no, Penny, you're in the room. I didn't know you were in the room. Well, what do you? Penny lives in Glasgow. She's a friend of mine. She's one of my directors for iCar. Well, go see him and say hi while you're there. If you see some Amazon woman walking, that's her.
I'll have official programming there, so I'll have panels and probably a signing or whatever. So I'll have
go by, stop by and say hi. Yeah, bring a book, get it signed. Buy a book, get it signed. That's even better. But you know what, Penny, write me after we get done with the show, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's nothing for this show though. Yeah, she's one of my. She's been a director of mine for 20 years now. And she's two of my directors. I have two directors in Scotland. And oh yeah, Penny, I did. Did you hear me say that? Yes, it came back. Irish, Scottish, Welsh. I'm 37% Irish, Scottish, Welsh. Yes, and I'm 27% Italian. The rest is Mediterranean. Like I didn't quite make mud. I thought for sure I was going to make mud. 7 makes sure mud. I think I was like at 5. Yeah, I was disappointed. I can't help it. That's what I wanted. But we got to go, girls and guys. I hope everyone's enjoying it. Remember, there's his link right there. You can catch him all you want. Alex, go ahead and say it out loud one more time because for the people listening.
Sure. It's alexshvartsman.com. And the books are The Middling Affliction, Eridani's Crown, and Explaining Cthulhu to Grandma. But if you go to the website, they're all listed on there, so you don't have to memorize these names or so some of them are hard to pronounce. So I didn't make it easy for myself because I like to use big words for titles. So I have a book named Kakistocracy, and I have to explain to a lot of people what that means. But these books are out there. I would love for you to check them out. If you sign up for my mailing list on the website, you will automatically receive the Explaining Cthulhu to Grandma short story, not the whole collection, but the first story. So you can sample it for free. And there's there's a list that links to all of my published stuff, which is a lot of the short stuff is online for free as well.
People go check it out, go enjoy it. Go enjoy it. I mean, go see what you like. I mean, I know a couple of y'all were interested because I was watching y'all text as we were going by. And remember, guys and girls, before you roll out of I know y'all are spoiled because we used to use the Messenger and Pal Talk. And then when we moved to Facebook, everybody's just, because all my messengers are connected. Yeah, all three of my personal page messengers are connected. So everybody started using that. But remember, if you're on Facebook, you can text us in the show live in Facebook, and it comes up in here where the guests can see it. And I can actually feature it on the board so everybody can see it. Yes, or if you're on YouTube. No, if you're on Roku, you can. I'm sorry, guys. Roku doesn't have a chat set up. Roku's a television. It's real television. Yeah, it's not No, it's real television. Yeah. I watch these guys on my 70-inch TV all the time just to see how they sound and what they look like. You'd be surprised too how good we look on a big screen TV. I know it does. He'd be looking high, baby. He's like, yeah. I didn't know I was on no big 70-inch TVs tonight. But we got to go again, guys and girls. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about the Writers of the Future. That was on earlier today, and then followed by The Professional with Echo Turnick. She's actually one of the coordinated judges for Writers of the Future for illustrators. And, of course, the Author's Quill's here today with Alex Shvartsman. Oh, by the way, any moans, groans, bitches, or complaints, who do you write to? Not Joe. Do you write to Michelle DeRoche, courtesy of whatever show it happens to be? This would be the Arthur's Quill and Joe Montado, but yeah, you write to Michelle DeRoche. And all I can tell you is be very nice to Michelle because she will mess you up. She is the station manager. No, I own the place, but she does everything. No, I don't actually, and I'll answer this before we go, I don't override her for anything. It's her job. If she thinks you need to get fired, oh well, honey, you ain't nothing I can do for you. If you make the woman bad enough to fire you, that's nothing I can do for you. That's our arrangement. She does too good of a job for me to interfere. But on that note, again, thank you for listening to United Public Radio, live on the Author's Quill today. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Be sure to come back. Be sure to check out the next show coming up. I know I wanted to call him Scott Bakula. Dave Scott's coming on in a little while. Be sure to catch him on Spaced Out Radio, see what he's up to. He's a Canuck. He's out of Vancouver, I believe. BC, but he's actually in British Columbia. So go check him out there and see what's going on with him. Don't forget, had some great shows on Sundays. Be sure to come by and check them out. And the whole Monday lineup, which is the Carnation lineup there. Carnation Creamer sponsors Monday. Yeah, so be sure to come by and check them. And just check them out. And don't forget, go to the Podcast Awards and vote. Do y'all want me to be pissy for a whole year? Go over there and vote. This runner-up shit's for the birds. Just 5 runners-up in a row. I'm not a good loser. I'm just saying I'm not a good loser. Go freaking vote, people. I mean, come on. 5 million people voted last year and we made it to runners-up. And then, we made it in the top 5. And then they go to the other side and vote. And then we made it all the way to second. No. First. Now, this show's not up for this show will be up for an award next year. You can bet your ass on it, but it wasn't up this year. It's too young of a show. News of the Flip Side is up, and so is Rise of the Future. Go over. I will give everybody one of them purple suckers if y'all go vote. I'm serious. Just tell me you voted. Send me a picture, and I'll send you one. You know them ones I give away on the whatchamacallit site? Yeah, I'll give y'all some of those. Yeah. Whatever. Good night, everybody, and stay tuned for Spaced Out Radio. Oh.